Greetings. Greetings, guys. Greetings. Hopefully you can hear me. So I wanted to come on and do this live. Greetings. If you are, familiar with the Alkaline Vegan Girls, go ahead and invite somebody to come in watch this with you, because I want to be very transparent and share some information that just might save a life. Might save a life. So I want you to get some people to join in, invite somebody in that you feel like could benefit from a real dialogue. None of this fakeness that's, we see so often, but a real dialogue. If you know somebody that can benefit from a real conversation about health and wellness, even thinking outside of the box. It's not for vegans. It's not for Dr. Sabi only. This is not for, this is just a real talk from a sister that's coming to have a real discussion. So, invite somebody to come on and join in and partake and listen to this this live. Greetings, how are you? So I want to just be transparent, because I think a lot of times we hear a commercial side of a conversation. We hear what we think somebody might need to hear, or we say it in a way that we think that is going to benefit that person or someone. Pull up a little bit closer. And so we don't always get real transparency. We don't always get, we get a lot of filter, basically. So let me do something real quick. Let me see if I can, hopefully you guys can hear this. Y'all hear those bells? That wind chime. The wind chime. One more thing I want to hit. One more thing. Hold up, guys. One more thing I want to hit. Y'all can hear that? So I want to chime these bells. I want to sound the alarm. And I want to tell the mother effing truth. Because a lot of times we don't hear the truth, right? So go ahead and get you a friend, somebody you know can benefit from hearing some truth. Tell them to come on and listen to, join in and listen to the Alkaline Vegan Girls, because I want to share some truth with you all. So it's so many things I can say, but I'm going to have to take my time and come back. Let me get some tissue, because I already know I'm going to cry. Hold on. So, yeah, I already know. I might shed a tear today on this right here. So, where do I start? Put my glasses on real quick so I can see if anybody's here. All right. I want you guys that are here to invite somebody else to join in and listen and hear these words that I'm going to share. So yesterday, I guess, I'm going to start back like maybe 2 months ago. I wear glasses, as you all can see. I wear glasses. These are prescription. And I kept noticing that my left vision was off, very distorted. And for a while, I kept thinking, okay, well, my glasses must be dirty. So I would wipe them clean. I would look at them. I would say, oh, they're scratched, So it got to be that. I would wipe my eye and everything. And it just wasn't getting better, guys. It just wasn't getting better. And so I love Dr. Sebi. Let me show you guys this too. So in this book of Dr. Sebi's book, he talks a lot about medicine. He talks about herbs, I should say. I call them medicine herbs. He talks about food and nutrition. He talks about one story in particular. There was a young man who his mom had brought him to the Dr. Sebi's office because he had broken his leg or he had broken his arm. I think it was his arm. So they wanted to know what Dr. Sebi could, do for him. So Dr. Sebi got up, greetings guys, and he went into the kitchen. And this is in the book. He went in the kitchen and the mom was like, well, what is he doing? My son's arm is broke. What is he doing? Greetings, guys. Come on in. Please let someone know that I'm live. I'm sharing some really being transparent, being real with you all. So, in the book, Dr. Sebi got up, went in the kitchen, and started to make some food and some tea. And the lady said, excuse me, what are we doing about my son's arm? And he said, that little ninja broke his arm. We got to go to the hospital. He didn't say, Queen, get 2 sticks and let's make a splinter, or, let's make a cast. He didn't say, Queen, let me get these herbs together that's going to help mend his bones back. He said, we're going to the hospital and we're going to be there for a while so I'm going to get something to eat. So, the moral of the story, sometimes you have to carry yourself to the hospital. Sometimes you have to go to the doctor. I know sometimes you don't want to do it. So I was having this issue with my eye. And I went to the doctor, after I realized, I don't know what's going on. So I went to the doctor because I started doing my own little test, cover my right eye. Could I see out my left eye? I couldn't really see. I could see, but it wasn't clear. It was very, very distorted. So that scared me so bad, it really did. I went to the doctor and they downplayed it. So I went to the specialist and they were booked solid. I couldn't get an appointment. So I came on back home. And then that was 2 months ago almost. So then I had some dental work done. And I wasn't sure if I was feeling or what. So I called my daughter, the family manager. But some of y'all may not know, I have a 35-year-old daughter and a 26-year-old son. So she's the manager of us. So I called my daughter and I say, this is what's going on. She said, Mom, you should just go ahead to the hospital. Okay, you should just go ahead to the hospital. Greetings, guys. Come on in. Come on in. I'm having a real discussion. This may save a life. This conversation that I'm having, it just may save a life. So I want to ring the bells, ring the alarm, sound the alarm, and I'm seriously being transparent. I want you guys to tag a friend, tag your bestie, tag your detox girlfriend, tag your, your workout buddy, tag them and come on in. Greetings. So, the family manager said you should go to the hospital. Now, I've gotten past, whether I'm going to go to the hospital or not, whether I'm going to go to a doctor or not. Like I shared with you in this story, in this particular book, there's a story. And Dr. Sabi, he talked about, he said, your son has a broken arm. There's nothing I can do for him. I have had people who have been in life and death situations, and they have called me and they have said, what can we do for them in terms of herbs? And I've had to have them hard conversations where I would say nothing. I'm not going to sell you any herbs. Nothing. What we can do for this right now is if you believe in the power of prayer, then I say we need to be praying. Some things is not about a herb. There is nothing about a herb that's going to immediately, when you're in a situation where they say it's acute, then these herbs, sometimes that's not what you need. So for my situation, so I had, went to the dentist. I had some dental work. Still in the process. It's a long process, but I'm going through it. And I wasn't sure if what I was feeling was natural or if what I was feeling was abnormal. I didn't know. So sometimes you are faced with circumstances that you don't know. And as I was thinking about this, I was like, just because you can't see a thing doesn't mean the thing ain't real. You can't really see love. Like, we can feel it. We know it's there. You can, there's attributes, but, love. You can't really see the creator of ourselves, of this universe, of this vast, existence. But that does not mean that there is no creator. Take it even a step further. When you're walking outside in the grass, just because you don't see the little insects under the grass does not mean that they don't exist. And just because you don't see a situation, what's going on your body, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And sometimes the only way we excuse me guys, is when we, looking in the sky, you can see what you can see, but until you look through a telescope, you don't see the galaxy, you don't see the Milky Way, you don't see the vast stars in the sky. You don't see it. Until you put your eyes inside of a microscope, you may never see, those germs or bacteria growing. So until you sometimes have to go into a doctor's office and for them to have to use machines to look at you, to look inside of you, to tell you what's going on. Because sometimes it's not about, guys, it's just not about, let me get these herbs. Sure, we got herbs we could sell you, but sometimes it's just not about that. You know what I'm saying? It's just not about that. So, my left eye, very distorted vision, very distorted. Beyond just blurry, it's just distorted. So I went to the hospital last night, and they thought, the way they were all on me, you would have thought I was having a stroke. That's really what it was like. They was doing a lot of emergency interventions and analysis and trying to analyze the situation. And it wasn't enough for them to just ask questions. they talked to me to find out was I aware of my surroundings. And then they had to go take a deep dive. They took blood. They want to take the blood and see what's going on. Then they said, let's take her back for imaging, because man can't always see what's going on inside of the body. We just don't have that capability, to look at someone and have x-ray vision. So I did all of those things, and they came back, and the takeaway was, we want you to call the ophthalmologist in the morning. Because remember, I told you my eye. I just give God praise. I give him praise because, sometimes we are challenged with, like I say, my ideology on wellness, on being a naturopath person. And, but I understood that something was going on. So today I followed through. Well, let me just back up and say that they ruled out everything. They ruled everything out that they could see. They ruled it out. No stroke, no heart attack, no blood clot, no aneurysm, none of those things. They ruled it out. So I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the ophthalmologist. And they began to do a series of tests. And God. And so in the test, what man cannot see, it's not about a herb. It's not about an eye drop. It's not. And they said, are you using any eye drops? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? I said, no. I knew it wasn't about a honey eye drop. I knew it wasn't that. I just knew it. So he said, through several series of testings, they determined that behind my eye, we have blood vessels and we have veins. One pushes blood, one carries blood. At some point, there was some kind of pressure that went on behind my eye. And it could have been, like, my blood pressure is always beautiful. I've always had just, your pressure is wonderful. Your pressure is wonderful. It could have been a spike because I had some dental issues where I had some pain, and it could have made my pressure spike or something. But those two things crossed and impacted each other, the vessel and the vein. And if it had been the vessel, who knows? The doctor said if it had been the vessel, I would be blind in my left eye. But because it was the vein, and because God is in control of everything, right? It was the vein that popped, and the inflammation behind the eye is causing the distortedness in my vision. Now, I'm saying this to you all, not just to be saying it. I'm saying this to you all because sometimes, if not a lot of times, when we're not feeling well, we have to leave the comfort of our homes. We have to even sometimes step outside of our ideology of wellness and what we would typically do, because some things are not typical. A lot of things about herbs or natural path is more preventative. But if something has happened that is acute, you have to seek medical attention. Just like in the book, the mom took the son to Dr. Sabi's office while he was alive. Her son broke his arm. Dr. Sabi got up, went into the kitchen, and started cooking, making his tea and his bread. And the lady said, well, what are you doing? He said, that little ninja got to go to the hospital. Sometimes you got to go to the hospital. And last night, it was late in the evening, I said, I'm going on, and my daughter came and picked me up, and we went. And I'm so thankful that I did. So thankful. Unto God, I'm so thankful. And that's where it comes down to, right? And so when I got in the hospital, we knew it was serious because the way they handled me with such urgency and such very kind, I would say, very kind. And when I got pushed back in the wheelchair, I knew it was serious because they didn't even keep asking me no identification. They didn't want to see no insurance. They got on the talk on the headset and said, some code. So they took me back there, and while I was going, I was very nervous. When I got into the back, it was a slew of specialists back there. Oh, God, thank you. Thank you, God. Oh, thank you. And they began to ask questions like you see in the movies. What's your name? What year is it? Who's the president? They didn't ask that. But they were asking a lot of those kind of demographics, who is that? My daughter, And I was able to answer those questions. And I was able to do the tests that they were having me to do, all the things that they were asking me to do. And so they said, we're going to start with the worst and rule it all the way down until we get to what it is. I said, okay. They said, we got to draw blood. Okay. We're going to do your blood work. We're going to figure out what's going on. We got to take you back to imaging. Okay. It won't no resistance. It wasn't none of that foolishness. I'm not getting no imaging, because they're going to put this on my body. It won't none of that shit. He said we got to put some dye with some iodine to contrast so we can see if any blood is leaking out. I said, okay. It won't know, well, what's that going to do to my body? No. When it's acute, this is why I said this could save a life. I'm ringing this bell and I'm sounding this alarm for all of you who are just as natural and healthy as I am. Because I know how it is. And when you're in a situation where things are considered to be acute, that means you need to seek medical attention. That's why I sound that alarm. Because I know some of you who follow Dr. Sabi, God rest his soul. Speak no ill of that man at all. But even Dr. Sabi, upon you arriving in Usha Village, did you know that you go to the hospital and get your blood work drawn? Did you know that? It's no guessing games there, And if you don't have your blood work, let's say you were on the phone, that's what they will recommend. You go get blood work done. You go get whatever you got to get done so we can see what's what. And then we can begin to address it if possible. Because there are sometimes that it's not about a herb. It's not about an eye drop. It's not about a iron drink. I don't give one shit about what nobody say. Forgive me for, being passionate. I don't care what anyone will say as it relates to, oh, I wouldn't go to no hospital. Then you may not be here. You may not be here. So whatever you need to do for yourself, do it. Sometimes it does challenge how we think about life, and it challenges us in very, very intimate ways. But you have to rise above that and understand that together we can come up with a plan, a care plan for you. So me going to the hospital and then having these specialists come around, and they were so passionate about what it is they did, and they were kind and very clear in their talk. There wasn't no double talk. So I'm just letting you all know that if you don't feel well on the inside, and I look good, let me just say that to you. Like, even the doctors, when they looked at me on the inside, they said I look good. So you thought I was talking about physically, outside appearance, but I do look good on the outside too. And even that can be a bit confusing, because when you look good, and sometimes when you feel good, and there may be something happening, but you feel good overall, you may sometimes ignore it, right? You may ignore it. And so even today, when I went to the eye specialist, he said he looked at all my blood work, because they did the blood work, and I had some more blood work done today. And he said, you look so good on the inside. You're healthy. So sometimes it's not about anything other than seeking medical attention. That's all. Seek the medical attention, because I can tell you right now, they're sure I could take things for inflammation, and I have been. Sometimes you need things to go inside of you exponentially. Sometimes you need things to happen. Not you take a herb, you gotta wait for it to dissolve, or you make tea, you gotta wait till you drink it. You're waiting for your body to accept it. You hope that your body can work with the minerals. You hope you don't have any mineral absorption issues, because you need it. So when it's acute, sometimes the teas and all of that are maybe for the next day. But to get you out of that ditch, sometimes you can't rely on things like, taking a herb, taking some tea, dropping some honey eye drops in my eye. Sometimes it's beyond that. Sometimes it's so acute, you have to dial 911. You understand? So I know sometimes that people battle with this, because like I said, I've gotten phone calls from people. I had a phone call from a young lady, and she said a good friend of the family was shot several times. He was in the hospital, and she just wanted to know what herbs could he be consuming. And I listened, and I said, well, let me ask you, is he conscious? She said, no, he's in a coma. I said, sis, I don't know what your faith is in or what you believe, but this is the time to pray. He's in the hospital, and he's in a coma, and he's been shot in multiple places and even organs. And there is no tea that I'm going to be able to recommend at this junction. And some people be like, well, you can get them to put it in the IV. I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'm not. Go call somebody else, and get them to sell you herbs to put in the IV. I'm not. And I have had people who have called me who have said that their loved one is in a vegetative state, not in a coma, in a vegetative state. And what could I recommend for them? You know, you want to give hope, but the bottom line really is some stuff is out of the hands of these herbs. And if you are dealing with anything that is bringing your systems discomfort, dis-ease, and nothing that you're doing naturally is budging the needle. I'm sounding the alarm for you because you may need to go to the hospital. You might have to get some intervention that goes beyond a herb. So that's what I wanted to share with you all. I am going to another doctor because once they discovered what it was and is, now they know how to treat it, and it's repairable, it's reversible, I should be able to have full vision again in my left eye. It's distorted right now. I can see, but it's distorted. I thank God for the balance of two, because this is distorted, but this one is fine. But I just need to relax it until I get things done, you know, and take care of myself. So I you know, I come to you and I ask that you take care of yourself as well. You know, people think it's a joke, but stress ain't nothing to play with. That's why I for the most part, I don't do stress. I'll kick your ass out of my sight. If not physically, I would do it in a spiritual way, in mental, emotional way, where I would distance myself from you. If you cannot govern yourself, where you can handle and you know, keep the drama out of my life, basically. You know what I'm saying? So it's better for me overall, and it's probably most likely better for you too overall. So I say, you know, take care of yourself. If there is something that is going way beyond, you know, calling me and saying you need some herbs, and you know you've been trying to do this thing on your own and it ain't working, you need intervention. Some people who have been dealing with high blood pressure for a while, you've been dealing with high blood pressure, and no matter what you do, you can't get your pressure to go down, then you might need, you need an intervention of something outside of what it is you've been doing. And I know we don't want to you know, rely on any man-made this and man-made that, but we are in a man-made environment outside of God's creation. All of this around us is a man-made trust, right? And sometimes we got to go outside of, you know, go into some things, like go into the hospital, go into a machine so they can look inside of you and see what's happening. And when you finish going through your, whatever the healing modality is, then you can address it with herbs. Clean up behind. My phone is going to die. The battery is low. I'm going to go ahead on and end it right here. I'll go through the if anybody had any questions, and I'll answer those questions later. But I just wanted to come on and share this much with you that I've shared. So be well, Mama Star. Be well, guys, and take care of yourself, because you are just that important. All right, guys.